Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Roots Report on the Poulter's Talk Sports podcast. I'm Daniel Poulter, a beat writer covering the Oakland Roots, as well as dabbling in some San Jose earthquakes. Some fun times in the Bay Area. I'm joined by fellow Oakland Roots beat writer. Hello, John. How are you doing today?
Doing well, Daniel. Thanks for having me on again. It's always a good time to join the podcast. Always a good time to talk about Roots, and we got some stuff to talk about.
We got a lot to talk about. Well, this week, in a week that saw the Oakland Roots traveling across the country to a team they don't play well against potentially the top team in the East, was the lone undefeated team remaining in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
They have not drawn or not lost.
There you go. Yeah.
And the Roots came back with a good old-fashioned. The Roots got a point. Roots got a point. Roots got a point. Oh, they got a point, baby. The Roots come back from Tampa Bay. The Battle of the Bays, which is weird because I don't. How did the Tampa Bay steal the Bay moniker? It's like, what are you guys talking about?
Yeah, I hate that. I've typed in Bay Area on like Twitter, and then people from Tampa Bay were talking, and I felt insulted a bit. Who told you guys you can take that? That's not okay.
Exactly.
Florida. Nothing's right in Florida ever.
And but the Roots do come back with a 2-2 victory, but also a lot of questions. To be honest, a lot around the right back spot. Do we want to just hop into there right away, you think?
That is the question. We us beat reporters and bloggers and podcasters, me especially, we just dive right into the negative before we work towards the positive. That's how our minds work.
8 points? Best start in franchise history?
How is the right back spot?
Who's replacing Tyler Gibson's steady leadership? That's what I want to know.
The nightmare we thought would happen is happening, and I guess we can take that blame for working soccer magic there. But yeah, it's what we do.
So before the season, when they were bringing in players, they brought in Keegan Tingy, they brought in Fisher, and I was like, okay, they've dedicated some strong, I'm going to put in air quotes, youthful players, at least entering their prime, key candidates for at least USL high-level play, and we had the Fisher experience, and then it unfortunately disappeared right in front of our eyes. What could have been. Hopefully we get him back at some point this season. We haven't fully figured out because the Roots this year, for context for everyone, the Roots are being a lot more closer to the vest when it comes with injuries and also timetables. We've been able to dig some of it out, but when it comes to them just giving us information, they're not making it easy this year, which is, to be fair, in the past, they haven't had to give away the information. They've just chose to, and this year they've kind of sewn it back up a little bit. It's a little harder to crack into the what's going on at the Oakland Roots, but luckily, John and I, we've got some birds. We've got a couple little birdies. But yeah, I wouldn't have bet that Tyler Gibson would have been the second choice to be at right back this season. And now, depending on what we appear could have been an injury, we'll find out more this week, but Tyler Gibson was taken off. I want to also clarify, Tyler Gibson was playing more of a hybrid, kind of what he was already doing winger. They were changing formations very rapidly when it comes to offensive defense for the Roots. And I would almost just kind of call it as Michael Edwards was the right back in reality. Especially, I believe the heat map John, you'll be able to dissect this for a little bit, but I think he was kind of covering for Gibson and that position to kind of make sure where Gibson was kind of like a helping right winger, which I don't know the exact positional correctness. I do apologize if I'm tweaking it a little bit, but how do you feel that position? Where do they go from here?
Where do we go from here? I mean, that right back spot was a position I highlighted in Roots Pod's very first podcast. You know, we knew Keegan Tingy in the preseason was dealing with something, which led Mark Fisher to being the one and only right back on the depth chart. Um, so that was already a cause for concern. They were one injury away from becoming dangerously. I mean, they were already dangerously thin
Yeah,
there.
Fisher
And
came
then
in with a club
Fisher,
in that first game, and you're like, oh, okay.
yeah, this is great. This is great. And then, you know, what was it? The was it New Mexico, Orange County, one of those
hmm
where he goes down. And now you're wondering, like, what do they do at that position? I keep calling him Diego. Jesse Maldonado
Yeah.
was signed to a 25-day contract. He is a right winger, plays that right back role. For Roots, I think we can probably expect him in this next game. You know, for me, from a personnel standpoint, I think you gotta keep him or sign a veteran off of the streets who you can have some confidence in that right back spot. Yes, Michael Edwards has been rotating out to that right side, but I mean, it becomes something where, and Aaron on Roots Pod pointed this out,
Mm.
where it's like when you're making up for all these lost bodies, that can, you know, exasperate the people that you have available and lead to more injuries, and it just snowballs and snowballs. And we're kind of at that point to where
We're pretty
you got to
close.
be careful. And also you want your players to build that familiarity with one position rather than, you know, Edwards is now playing out wide, playing centrally, and doing both in the same match. You know, going forward, playing one spot, going backwards, playing another. Like that could lead to some, you know, inconsistencies in performance. So for me, I think, I mean, man, like it's also a question of how much money do you want to invest in
hmm
one position? You know, you have
Yeah.
two guys probably on a similar salary in King and Tingy, Mark Fisher, probably Tingy's earning a
I'd
bit
expect
more. He's
Tiggy's
more
probably a
of an
little more.
established veteran in this league, but still, you know, Fisher
hmm
was signed and he's getting starting minutes. You know, I do think that Roots have some quality available in Project 5-0. You look
hmm
at Jonathan Polio, you look at some of these other
Oh,
guys,
that's fair. That's very fair.
you know, getting minutes with the El Salvador U20 national team. It might be a good time, a good test to call them up to the action and see what they can do. You know, it is that kind of league to where these guys can, you know, forge their own way, and for a young guy getting professional minutes, you know, who knows what could happen. Um,
Yeah, I could also see them kind of shading McCabe and then shading Garcia and Edwards to that side. Like if they put someone who's really inexperienced or out of position in that spot, I could see them kind of maybe potentially trying to protect that side a little bit or not expose it as much as they have been in the last games. I know that Gibson there was a couple plays where he got burned, which could have been maybe injury related. He did have a wrap on his leg and he was subbed out. We don't fully know if he was fully healthy, especially traveling all the way to Tampa. Um, do you think they're going to start Hackshaw and then move Edwards over, or do you think they're going to throw Maldonado, throw a 5'10" kid? What do you think they actually
mm,
show up against Tulsa?
well, I mean, if history says anything, it probably will be Hackshaw in that center back spot. Michael Edwards playing a bit wider, but for me, I wouldn't mind
Mm-hmm.
Maldonado getting some time, throwing him right into the fire and seeing what he could do. You know, he was at that preseason game and he had a wonderful, wonderful assist to Jackson Keel.
That's true.
He has the quality to land these passes from the wing, which is something that Martin likes for his system. I don't think Diego Jesse Maldonado would look out of place.
Jesse.
Jesse, not Diego. I don't know where that's coming from. Um, but I wouldn't mind it. I wouldn't mind a 5-0 kid getting a shot. I do, you know, I do think that consistency and continuity is important, especially in the early stages of a season. You know, I like David Garcia and Michael Edwards manning that second
They
spot.
those two signings already. Mwah, mwah.
They could become the one of the best center back pairings in the Western Conference, and
100%.
I think if you keep running them out there and keep trusting that, they can keep on producing some clean sheets and really bailing out whoever is the goalkeeper.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Other thing to keep in mind, depending on the exact day of signing, because he signed a 25-day contract,
I have
which technically, and if it was on, I'm looking at what they announced, the announcement day was, which was March 27th.
Yeah, I got it here. 1 second.
Yeah. Because 25 days would put them directly at April 21st. April 11th.
Or 25 days. He's passing the 16th day.
Okay.
When I wrote the article. Oh, wait. I mixed it. Yeah, April 20th. Sorry. Misread my own article.
Which, interestingly, would put him in line to only be eligible unless they extend, which they definitely could. But Tulsa is the only game he would be eligible under that contract as currently situated. Because I could see him playing against Las Vegas, especially on short rest, that makes a lot of sense to me, especially if you don't have. I keep getting hung up on if you think if he is a starter potential level, why didn't he make the trip as a substitute to Tampa? Yeah. And that's where I'm hung up. Wouldn't you bring him? Maybe that's me looking too much into that, but Tulsa this Saturday at home. Both of these are home games versus Las Vegas and versus Tulsa. Both very gettable games. We'll get to that a little bit later. Is there any out of right field? Because Tyler Gibson was kind of an out of right field. I'm going to put again in air quotes, right back option, at least in formation attacking wise. Who is your wild card on the roster of a dart of that guy got placed there and we would be maybe it doesn't make sense, but they're trying something. What do you think that play would be? Because I have a weird idea. A very weird idea.
Okay. I mean, I kind of to your point earlier, I could see Edwards staying at that right back spot. He allows some positional variety, a la what Gibson was doing. He could come central, kind of like Julian Bravo as well. Mm-hmm. So I could see that. I think it would be very out of right field to see Maldonado get a start. To the point you made, didn't bring him on the trip. It's clear someone is above him in that right back depth chart. So it might be a very, very important week of practice for him to show he can know.
It could also be that they just think Edwards is a horse and they're just there's no one behind him because we don't expect to take him out.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't got a great bead on Edwards' passing ability, coming out from the wing. I've seen Maldonado land these passes. He is a offensive minded background, right winger. He's very, very young. I see a lot of potential in him that can whip in passes from the wing. Probably doesn't offer that much defensively, and so you gotta ask.
The Maury Donor, another guy from Monterey. That's actually kind of funny. But this is me just throwing darts at a board, and I don't think it will happen for two reasons. But what is the depth that you have on this roster, on your bench, that you can use to replace someone if you have to push someone else out of position? This is saying if we move someone that I'm in agreement with you, and especially I believe the other Roots Pod guys when it comes to especially this defense. I would like them to stick it together. I would like them to keep the midfield together. But if you did change the midfield, they have, especially on free kicks and corner kicks, been dropping Babosi super back to the midfield as the last guy of defense on free kicks and things going forward, especially on things that could have quick counterattacks because of his speed. If you put Babosi at right back and then bring in Ali Al-Masnawi because he's been blocked by two of them, we know he's good. We know he can work probably really well with a Tommy McCabe system. And then you can use that extra luxury you have of him on the bench and then able to get him in the game. That's also, I do think you should keep Babosi in the midfield. Him and McCabe have been super amazingly good, and it'd be annoying to break it up for like 1 or 2 games.
Yeah.
But if that shows up, I wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, McCabe has dropped deep to that like center back level. We have seen him, especially when Roots are in possession. He is sitting deeper, kind of feeding the ball up to Babosi. But it is a good point. As thin as the right back spot is, the deepest spot is the midfield, and we've only used 2 of the players there. It's there are options. Ali Al-Masnawi is hurting for minutes. I believe in him. Even Luka Rosic has some potential that we don't know yet, but he was signed as someone who can be crafted into a high level player. So
I feel that I feel like I can relate to some of the 49ers beat writers where every single week they were told, hey, we think this is the week. The running back from Oregon, Green, he's gonna get in the game. Was it Green or James? But still, the backup running back for the 49ers, he's going to get in the game. We love what we see in practice. This is the week. They're keeping fed information for the coaching staff. This is going to be the week. And I feel that with Luka, where I'm just like, I keep being told he's looking great. It's going to be good. He's going to be used. And at the end of the season, he's going to have like 15 minutes of play time. And I'll be like, yeah,
he is a teenager.
He is
a teenager. I don't think you're in a rush to get him out there. If anybody's going to get minutes above him, it's Ali, in his early 20s. But the bringing up the graphic there, it also reminds me Wolfgang has experience at the outside back spots. That is a tough.
How did we miss that? How did I miss that? I hate that makes sense.
As a toughie, but also he's your leading goal scorer. How can you take him from attack to defense, knowing how the quality he's putting on the field right now? That goal from him was just stupid. It was wicked. That touch, and we're seeing more of his qualities come out of his bag, and the more comfort he gets getting these consistent minutes as an attacking option, who knows how he could look mid-season. Hopefully he doesn't hit that cliff like he kind of did last year.
Wolfgang Supernova, dude. It's only here for a short amount of time and then it goes away.
I don't know. I think it's here. I think he's going to have a really great season. That you can't fake that.
He's been impressive this year. Coming into the season, I thought he was the one that would be the last man out, where he'd be the one coming off the bench. He'd be that super sub. He'd be versatile everywhere. And he has forced my opinion change, where I don't know how you take him out. I don't know. We've seen that with Danny Trejo heading to the bench this week, where he's kind of looked a little off this year. I'm not sure if it's a step behind or dealing with nagging injuries, but Wolfgang has kind of taken that spot and a couple other up of those upfront positions and has just kind of ran with it. I mean, I can't imagine the attack without him. Can you imagine he plays right back for a game, even if they win, and then he stops scoring goals and you're like, oh, it was because we put him in right back. That was it. We lost the mojo. It's gone. Speaking of, before we get to the goalkeeping, is there any reason to worry about Peter Wilson and his struggles so far this season? The Golden Boot winner still at 0 goals so far this year. Should we worry, John?
Well, I put it on the blog that I don't think the alarm bells are ringing, but as I said to you before before we started recording, I think the eyes are starting to be glaring at him. There are these memories of first half of last season, Peter Wilson showing up in these
that Phoenix game is going to start crawling out. That Phoenix game memories.
Like he arguably should have at least just put the ball on frame in that in his chance. I think it was in the second half, to where he just really scuffs his shot wide. And he's had his chances getting in behind. I think back to New Mexico, and I put this in the blog. It was he got fed in behind one-on-one with the goalkeeper, and he just kind of doesn't make the best contact, really tries to pinpoint it. Both shot attempts, similarly, he's trying to go across the face of the goalkeeper.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not like a soccer expert, and I can, I think my opinion here should be, there's a caveat there. But like, I remember one feed or one video clip of Diego Maradona. That's probably where I'm getting Maldonado's.
That's Maradona. That's 100%.
He's talking to Harry Kane. He's giving Harry Kane advice, and it's kind of a similar thing where he's like, "Hey, you got to go near post here. Don't go far post when you're on this side. You got to go near post." And I think on both of these occasions where he's really he's pressing, and that reminds me of times last season where he's pressing for a goal. He's trying to get this inch perfect pinpoint shot, or I think in this last case, he's trying to also get pinpoint and also put like a lot of power behind the ball, where it's like, man, just put it on frame. Just take a easy shot. Just try and guide it home rather than going for, super duper glory. And, I do think that he's soaking up attention. He's doing a lot of things without the ball. He's showing he can hold up the ball, make incisive runs that keeps the defense honest and keeps the defense open. So I'm not panicking. I think he does enough without scoring to justify his stature as still a top level striker in this league. But if this stuff continues, if he continues with it, it's going to wear on patience, and we'll see what
maybe Wilson is just
like.
Maybe he's just that streaky. And it's just going to be the Peter Wilson experience of once the fountain goes, it's just going to be the rest of the season, and you have a huge blitz. But it's going to be. I'm very intrigued to see when he gets, because like you definitely know that teams are like, we're making sure he doesn't score. But what's been very encouraging, I guess, which is like he's being put in, like we talked about, put into these like his teammates are giving opportunities. That's the biggest thing about this year's team, is that it doesn't feel like they're pulling teeth on offense. It feels like they have chances. They're just not converting, which can be fixed or like changed, or like we know the USL, it can be really silly at times. Speaking of, the first goal of the game in the first 5 minutes, as we were without our Swiss hero, our incident man, Raphael Spiegel, serving his 2-game suspension for his red card infamous viral moment, joining Askarov of the San Jose Sharks a couple nights ago in viral Bay Area goalkeeper lore. But I was intrigued to see if they had appealed the ruling, if Spiegel was going to be a surprise appearance for the Tampa Bay game, but it was not. It was confirmed that he was a silly goose, gave him a red card. He's out for 2 games, straight red. And we have Kendall McIntosh back in goal, Oakland's own. In the past, I have been a very big Kendall guy, especially with a good defensive in front of him, he should be, keywords, I think, the better goalkeeper. Unfortunately, for my opinions, the first 5 minutes of the game happened and shattered a lot of those.
Yeah.
Last season, people, I don't want to say overlooked a lot of his rebounds, but I saw enough bonuses from a lot of his big playing making saves. The game against Loudoun last year, where he basically stonewalled them. Same with the Battery. I don't think, well, I think he did poorly against the Battery, but he has the ability to become superhuman and just make all of these saves. But there's a lot of times he can struggle with a rebound, and especially it looks like very easy rebounds. And the first goal of the game was easy ball to him. And it was a decent shot. He pushes it, he pats it down, and then a running backline guy comes right behind Tyler Gibson. He doesn't see it because Tyler Gibson is not a defensive right back. And an easy goal for the best team in the East, which is a goal you just cannot give up when you're trying to get points against the best team in the East, which is wild to say that the Oakland Roots got a point against the Tampa Bay Rowdies in the East. That is still a massive result. And overall, a passing grade. And because it was, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the first away points at Tampa Bay for Oakland Roots?
It is.
And like, I will be very honest, coming into the game, I expected them to get absolutely shellacked. The Rowdies were coming in super high. They're playing Charleston next week. They would have been 5-0, this powerhouse. And I still think the Rowdies are a top team in the East, but it's definitely, I guess it proves more, hey, Oakland has something here. Let's see if they can fully put it together and be that top form in the West. Of course, that's counting a lot of chickens before they hatch. But this team has that potential, which is really fun to think about, that this team, I'm already in the mindset of they should be a playoff team. Like, it's a massive disappointment if this team doesn't make the playoffs with how good they're already looking. Injuries may add to that, but we'll see. Speaking of goalkeeper, do you right now, John, think that let's envision a future that the Oakland Roots are hosting a home playoff game at the Coliseum? We're counting a lot of chickens before they hatches. We're tempting a lot of fates. Is the goalkeeper in that game on this roster?
I mean, I've said it a million times already that I don't think that the starting goalkeeper at the end of the season is currently on this roster. I think that it's a prime position to loan in somebody. Roots haven't loaned in a player since 2022 under Juan Guerra, who was really made a lot of demands for his roster, needed a striker. And Roots delivered that. They brought in Otar Magnus Carlson, one of the most illustrious strikers and goal scorers in this club's history.
Out pretty well, though.
Yeah, it worked out pretty well. And I think that if Martin says, guys, get me a goalkeeper, they're gonna do it. Roots have shown that they will go after a player who a coach wants. It's hard to say that will it be an outright signing? Will they transfer in a guy? It's possible. We do know Roots' philosophy that they like to have players under contract and develop them for a year or two at a time. But it would be, 3 senior goalkeepers plus a 510 guy, albeit that 510 guy, Carecho Luna, he's committed to UOP. He'll probably go off to college in August-ish. So there will be a position there, but I do think that it's a prime position to eye MLS backup keepers, third string keepers or so who can't really make the team. You loan them in, and I think that is a prime position to do that. I could definitely see them doing that, and I think they will. Maybe will is a tough one. I think they have to, especially if they want to get to where they're going, which is a top 4 spot. You got to have it.
So here's a question to you. What do you think is more likely? Do they loan in a goalkeeper or loan in a right back?
I mean, before this week, I would definitely say goalkeeper. I mean, I think that if Martin says I want both, they'll get them both.
Fair.
I think that they will find if they need to loan in a guy, I think they will. I would say knowing the depth that they have available at that right
Yeah.
back spot with Maldonado, Polio, and so on and so forth off of 510, that's a position you can fill in. Edwards as well. There
Mhm.
are options. Wolfgang, maybe Bravo can switch over. Who knows how that right back spot can go. It's a position that offers a lot of variety from players that you have available. A lot of people can fit into a right back spot. It's kind of like I've told people, it's like a receiver cornerback in the NFL. If you can't catch the ball,
Mhm.
you go play defense. But goalkeeper is so nuanced, and it's such a vital position to where if the coach doesn't have trust in options A and B, well, you got to go find a new guy. And I do think that if you're asking me which I think is more likely, I definitely think that the higher priority should be loaning in that goalkeeper spot, a starting option rather than a backup right back, which could still be a possibility. You can find a backup,
Yeah.
at that right back spot. A
Bec-
starter that's tough, and that
mhm.
should mean that the priority should be much higher.
I also think in an ideal world, Keegan Tingy should hopefully be back in a month or so.
Yeah, we will
Depending
see.
on what they've been a lot more like I said, they've been a lot more murky this year. When we talked to
Yeah.
them before, they said about 2 months, and that was about 2-3 weeks ago. So it's
Mhm.
like we'll see if we start seeing them in photos in a
I,
month.
d- I do remember in our last talk with Ryan Martin, you were there, that he did clue that Tinky isn't that close to being back. I do
This
appreciate
is
that
true.
about Ryan Martin. He will
Hmm.
say, how close guys are. He said Velo is close. Fisher going to take some time. Tinky still going to take some time. So I really appreciate that about him.
Hmm.
But yeah, we will see. I mean, time has passed. They had a week off. We'll see how close Tingy is. I mean, that would help a
Because
lot.
my envision is if his injury determination is not great, then they may look at it where if it's like, oh, he's back in a month, we can hobble together Hackshaw plus Edwards on the right side for a month, especially with the games that the Roots have coming up, which is uh
Also, 11th place, Las Vegas. They're struggling. Loudon
yeah.
is
The, the
Loudon.
the big one is the stretch of El Paso and Orange County. I do not think Orange County, even though they are currently atop the West, is going to end there. They just don't score that many goals. They're very much just a knife fight kind of team where they're a bunch of really talented young kids who are just holding down and keeping teams from scoring. Their XG against I think it was either San Antonio or New Mexico was just awful a couple weeks ago, and El Paso on average is scoring like 4 goals a game. They are absolutely on nitrous right now. El Paso, that is my biggest worry of that game is if you don't have the back line set, they are going to absolutely rip that right back apart, which
Yeah.
worries me a lot. But we have all these worries and all these criticisms, and I'm like, Oakland Roots are in 5th place and they have 8 points. I'm like, this is such a weird feeling for this team
Yeah.
of how the expectations, which may be unfair, and maybe we should let them prove it for a little while before we're like, they are a top 4 team in the West, or they are a guaranteed playoff team. Is that me kind of jumping a little early? Probably, because they are the Oakland Roots and they find ways of August shows around and they even with
And they
Ryan Martin,
jump off
maybe
the
they don't
cliff.
win it.
The
They
late
jump off.
season collapse of Oakland Roots. But I am confident in this group. I do
Mhm.
feel that they're for sure a playoff side. I think they will definitely continue challenging for that top 4 and above.
Mhm.
I viewed this match as a measuring stick game, and to come out with a point against a team that is going to challenge for the top 3 in the Eastern Conference, maybe even a championship, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Even New Mexico may be having some struggles, but they are going to challenge
Yeah. New
for
Mexico
the
also
top.
looks like a playoff team as well. Like,
Yeah.
the only one that's, I think, out of all the games, like, I think the Orange County game, you could have been like, maybe the Roots should have at least gotten points from that. But then it's like, if Orange County is as good as Orange County currently is situated as, that's even as lost, that looks really good. The
Mhm.
Rowdies game, tie is absolutely fantastic. The only one right now out of all their games where you can kind of been like, ooh, that game may look really bad in a few months is the Phoenix game. But then Phoenix blasts New Mexico 3-0 the other night. And you're
Yeah.
like, all right. And then
Yeah.
Monterey
The West is wild.
West is wild. And then Monterey Bay has a
They are bad.
surprisingly, they're bad, but their defense is good.
Yeah.
They just can't, they're just everything past the midfield is an absolute tire fire. I would watch out for that Monterey Bay game. I'm worried about that Open Cup game because Roots love to just throw those games.
Yeah,
That's
we'll see.
not that game matters, but like if they're gonna slip up soon, I think that's the one where they go, "Oh, guys, what did you do here?"
I mean, I'm curious to see. I mean, Monterey they have a lot of issues right now, and I think we still don't know what's going to happen to them in 12 days time. Come this Sunday, if they
Mhm.
or Saturday, if they suffer another bad loss, Jordan Stewart's job is very much on the line. He's very much on the hot seat, and the fans.
True.
I mean, I've talked to a lot of fans in the last game I was at. I talked to the Union
Mhm.
report guys, and I think that there's a
A
lot of
lot of
stuff going
last
on
year
there.
happening again. Yeah.
A lot of stuff going on there that you can't say for certain who their
Yeah.
coach is going to be in come April 25th.
That's fair. That's very
So
fair.
I mean, it might be a time where Roots try some things. It is a cup match. It's not the highest of priorities, but going back to something
Mhm.
you said about Orange County, I think that from that match, Ryan Martin knew that, okay, we can't tinker with things so crazy. I think he knew and pulled from that Orange County match. It was like, okay, we're successful with this system. Let's keep hammering this system, this back four. Let's get this going before we try a bunch of new things. And then
Mhm.
we went into that Orange County match. It didn't work in that first half, and he said, "All right, let's go back to what we were doing." And
Yeah.
the second half was much more positive. So that's that's the problem with these injuries is like, oh, technically a back three now would make the most sense, but the back four is working. The system that he
Yeah.
wants to deploy, getting out wide, having the outside backs kind of pinch sometimes in attack, it's working. So I think I think they're at the point still where you have to keep on hammering away what you're doing well and refining it
Yep.
before you start thinking, okay, what are the other wrinkles we can add here?
Yeah, and let me see. Let me bring up the before we get to Tulsa. Let me bring up the heat map for our last game. Here is the Tyler Gibson right back heat map, which looks pretty right wing to me. It looks like very similar to what he had last time. Let me bring up Michael Edwards for you here, and that's looking a little bit more right backy. Especially
Yeah.
this pocket up here in this top little bit is looking that he's hedging over towards Tyler's side to make sure that he doesn't get burned. Because like a good example here is David Garcia. And that's a
I
center
agree.
back. He's just absolutely him and Edwards have been. I hope that the Roots can keep them for a long time, but I would not be shocked if, at least for Garcia, just because his size will probably stay at this level for a little while, but those are 2 free agent big hits. So I'm not sure who on the training staff hit those, but we'll see about later in the year about that, because I know they don't like just like pinpointing a person being like, nope, they found it, unless that person speaks out. They're very just like it's
Martin's guys. It's Martin's guys.
Mm-hmm. That is true. But those were 2 just absolute slam dunk.
Sure. Yeah.
What was the other one I wanted to see here? Was Hackshot.
My boy. More left side, yeah. That looks a lot like last year. Looks like last year a bit, yeah.
And then I think Bravo was absolutely full. Yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
Big old left side.
Which is a surprising player there. Kind of in that same thought as Michael Edwards, where he offers a lot defensively, but he has good speed, can make runs in behind, but like I don't think you can rely
starting
his long service. He can really dribble into the box area, kind of where you see the blue dot right there on the line of the box right there. Yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's where he thrives, I think, cutting inside and then sending a low pass into the center of the box. So him and Jesus De Vicente, very different players, right?
Yes,
I think that De Vicente has a lot to prove as a defender, that Bravo for certain has the edge on him, but he can pass. He can pass out wide. In the preseason game, he took all the corners, and also he fed Peter Wilson on that big miss in the second half, and he was playing more centrally around the center of the around the midfield line right there. That's where he made that pass.
I guess we didn't bring that up. Like, do you think they could just put him on the right side and just roll with it? You think?
Don't know enough about him yet. I mean, it's possible. I definitely think it's possible.
I think in Virginia he was just a left back.
Yeah. So I don't know enough about him to be able to judge. But I mean, these guys are athletes. They could figure it out. Memo Diaz played. Memo Diaz,
hey, you want a starting spot? Figure it out.
Yeah. Memo Diaz had a great outside boot, and he, gosh, I'm forgetting how they played him, but he was playing the opposite side from where he should have been, his natural position, and he could still land those passes. Maybe De Vicente can do that, but just don't know enough about him yet.
This is very funny heat map. This is very funny. Just okay. I'm gonna put these 2, Tommy McCabe and Babosi. What a time. They're like a lot of good things going on. Let's go a little bit to Tulsa. Kind of what's going on with Tulsa. The defending Western Conference champions sit at 11th place, right next to Lexington, like we all thought before the season, of course.
Ain't that the USL, man? Ain't that the USL?
Oh boy. But if I remember, let's look at what Tulsa has gone up against so far. Tulsa.
Oh, we got Open Cup this week.
We do. I actually wanted to bring that up for you because there's a local game. But they played against Orange County, the current top team in the West. They lost 1-0. San Antonio and Open Cup, where San Antonio played their full starting. Both teams played everything. There was no bench used in this one. Tulsa wins. San Antonio's really good. Tie with Phoenix Rising. Then they barely inch out a win against Las Vegas. And then they tie against San Antonio. They had to play Sacramento. Tulsa really hasn't played many bad teams. Yes, Las Vegas is probably going to be kicking at the bottom of the playoff table. Same with Phoenix. But I think Tulsa is a lot better, same with Lexington, than their record implies. That doesn't mean, though, that I don't think the Roots can't win this game. I think the Roots, this is a great opportunity against a team that does not score very often.
Yeah.
If the Roots get 2 goals, that could be enough. To be fair, 1 goal could be enough.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel going into this game, especially with a very quick turnaround against Las Vegas the following Wednesday? How do you kind of judge these type of games?
I think just like you said there, I think this is a good opportunity for Roots. I'm still confident in this team despite the depth issues right now. I think
Agreed.
that they have the attacking quality in all their options to make this a really good game. I think it's a good opportunity for go down the line here and attack. Peter Wilson, Florian Velo, Faisal Batash, Wolfgang Prentice, Danny Trejo, Bertrand Jacquesin. I think any of those guys can make an impact. We haven't even talked about Jacquesin yet. How great did he look in this last game? He has a different level of speed.
He had the speed I thought Danny Trejo would have. That's where you're like,
he has more speed. I thought he showed more speed than he might be the fastest guy on the team, which says a lot. Really like he didn't get that goal. It was an own goal, but he pressed the action. There. And if someone with that speed isn't there, that defender doesn't panic the way that he did. So, I'm going into this. I think Roots fans should be looking at this like, oh yeah, we can beat them and we can beat that ass. Let's go.
The other question it's a 2-pronged question here. If let's say you're the coach of Tulsa, and this week, which I've just noticed, they play against St. Louis of the MLS on Wednesday, and then they travel to Oakland. Well, they travel to St. Louis, and then they travel to Oakland.
Hell yeah, they're going to be ragged.
Second game. Which game do they care about more? Because St. Louis is a bottom of the table MLS team, maybe gettable in Open Cup. Do you go full bore to try and beat that MLS team, or do you save it for the USL game that could matter down the road? What if you're a coach, which one do you think? Because I don't think they can do both. Like you can't full strength both of them.
It's tough. I think that if you're a part of the team, you're a part of the marketing department, and you're a part of the ownership, beating an MLS team will get you some headlines. It'll get you in whatever fucking newspaper they have down there. A team like Tulsa needs that. I think they're definitely going to be going into that game looking to win it. We'll see what that means with the roster, but I think you can expect some of their starters to be.
I'm definitely going to be watching that game, or at least giving it a look. I will not be down at PayPal Park this week because on a work night, coming back at 3 a.m. from a Quakes game. No, thank you. But the Quakes play against Phoenix Rising this week in San Jose. How do you think? How badly do you think San Jose is going to beat Phoenix Rising this week?
Oh, I don't know. I'm never gonna root for San Jose Earthquakes. Come on, PM Ka. Let's go. This is the only time I'm gonna be going for Phoenix. I pretty much always go USL other than Sacramento.
Charlie Dennis with a goal last minute.
That'd be cool. I will always be a fan of Charlie Dennis.
Definitely different press conferences between Ryan Martin and Bruce Arena. Different press conference vibes.
Oh, have you seen Pamadou Kaz? Have you ever watched them? Oh boy. My boy Owain Evans, he gets into it with them. If you're listening to this and you want
some good times.
a good laugh, watch a Phoenix Rising interview after a loss. Oh boy, it's a good old time.
It makes me so happy that at least my time in the press conference room, like I've been following the team for a bit, but like inside the actual press conferences, and like going from Glinton, Benny, and Ryan all were at least open at least enough. But man, I don't know how they do it in Phoenix. Like, that's just pulling teeth, dude. It's just pulling teeth.
Hey, well, Dan, we'll always have Benny.
We'll always have Benny.
We'll always have that Benny interview.
One day I'll get him on. One day. We'll see. Mainly probably to talk about Quake stuff, which is kind of funny, but but before we wrap up, is there anything you want to mention about the season so far, about the upcoming weeks, or anything on your content side that you want to talk about, good sir?
Oh, well, I mean, we're getting into a stretch here. It's going to be a busy time. We got a lot of matches coming up. So, it's it's hard to say that, like, oh, we got to get these results, but you know how the West is. A tie against these bottom sides, dropping points to Tulsa and Loudoun and Las Vegas. It can reflect later on in the season. So, I mean, I think it's a good time for them to pick up some points and keep on forging ahead and build this momentum towards a good mid-season and late season. No late season drops. And yeah, everybody just keep an eye on the blog. It's always going to be fun.
Yeah. Make sure to check out Roots blog, Roots pod. John and the guys make some of the best content around right now when it comes to the Oakland Roots and soccer in the Bay Area in general. As always, I'm listening, so you should probably be as well. It's amazing work. Thank you so much, good sir, for coming on, and hopefully we'll do it again.
We will. Yeah.
All right, let's make sure technology works. Goodbye, all, and of course, see you next time.